himself as Trump's worst nightmare. Mamdani also had lashed out at Trump by calling him a despot, to which the U.S. president responded by saying that the mayor-elect could change his mind after he starts working with him.
He's called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Both Trump and Mamdani also spoke out tackling crime in New York City during their meeting. Trump has said that he will be working together with Mamdani in making the streets of New York much more safer. And this comes after U.S. President Donald Trump had threatened to deploy Immigration and Customs Enforcement Officers, or ICE, in New York City. Now, both Trump and Mamdani have differing opinions on deploying ICE. The mayor-elect had earlier called out ICE as a rogue government entity.
A safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out, maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length.
And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Terani has sent us this report from New York.
New York Mayor-elect Mamdani and President Donald Trump struck an unexpected warm tone after their first face-to-face meeting at the White House, despite weeks of campaign trail clashes and tough questioning from the press. Both leaders emphasized shared priorities, especially when it came to affordability, federal funding, and building more housing for New York City. Trump said he now believes that Mamdani could be a quote-unquote really great mayor, even patting his arm on several occasions during a press conference. Mamdani, for his part, called the meeting as being productive and rooted in their shared love for this city. The two also discussed crime, infrastructure, and ICE operations, acknowledging differences in approach but stressing overlap on key issues. Their respectful approach under intense media scrutiny signals a political valuable reset. Trump presents himself as willing to work with an ideological opponent, and Mamdani secures federal partnership he'll need as the youngest mayor of New York City in a century. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION. World is One.
Israeli forces fatally shot two Palestinian teenagers on the outskirts of Jerusalem during overnight clashes. The Palestinian Authority condemned the killings, while Israeli police say that they fired at individuals who posed a threat. Funerals of the teens drew hundreds, with families accusing Israel of brutality. The deaths further escalated tensions in the West Bank, where over 1,079 Palestinians have been killed since October 2023. Furthermore, Israel's civil administration is planning to seize 450 acres of Sebastia, a Roman-era archaeological site in the West Bank, citing plans to develop it into a tourist attraction. Now, the move, Israel's largest seizure of historic land, has sparked outrage. The Israeli anti-settler organization Peace Now calling it a theft of Palestinian land. Meanwhile, search is still ongoing in central Gaza's Nuseirat for the remaining three bodies of Israeli hostages. Remains of 25 hostages have been returned to Israel since the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas began on October 10th. While Hamas says that remaining bodies are buried deep beneath the rubble, Israel has accused Hamas of delaying the handover. In another development, Israel military has said that a strike that was carried out by them on a Palestinian refugee camp earlier this week killed 13 Hamas personnel. IDF vowed that they are operating against Hamas's establishment in Lebanon and will continue their operation. However, Hamas has denied any military presence there, calling it a horrific massacre of civilians. The EU and several member states have now pledged over $100 million to Palestinian Authority this year. European Commissioner for the Mediterranean, Dubravka Suica, said that EU's financial support is linked to the Palestinian Authority reformed agenda. She also called for further international support, adding that it is needed to stabilize the Palestinian fiscal situation. On the other hand, clashes broke out between police and anti-Israel protesters in Bologna as thousands took to the streets to demonstrate against an Israeli basketball team ahead of a EuroLeague game in the city. The demonstration comes amid growing international criticism of Israel's actions with Gaza, with activists urging a boycott of Israeli supports team. Now, there has been another kidnapping in Nigeria. A Christian school in Nigeria's northwestern Niger state was attacked in the middle of the night. At least 227 people are believed to have been abducted, and this includes school children and teachers. This is the second school kidnapping in Nigeria this week. Now, on Monday, a school was attacked in the neighboring Kebbi state. At least 25 schoolgirls and a teacher were abducted, and at least 2 staff members were killed. Now, 2 of the girls managed to escape, but 23 are still missing. Now, these aren't the only attacks that are making headlines. On Tuesday, gunmen stormed a church service in the Kwara state. At least 2 people were killed and 38 kidnapped. The attack was captured on video because the service was being live streamed. As in the video, you can clearly see and hear gunshots being fired at the church. A church official later said that the gunmen have asked for 100 million naira ransom per kidnapped worshiper. Now, that is about $69,000 per person. 3 major attacks in just 5 days, 2 of them targeting schools, 1 of them a Catholic school. A church also raided with dozens of worshippers kidnapped, and all the attacks taking place in the same region of Nigeria. Abuja has been under tremendous pressure over the attacks. This is because U.S. President Donald Trump has taken a special interest in them. He believes these are the targeted attacks against Christians in Nigeria. On October 31st, he designated Nigeria a country of particular concern for alleged religious freedom violations. And the following day, he put out a post on social media threatening to send the U.S. military guns blazing into the country. The Nigerian government has been scrambling ever since. Nigeria's chief of army staff personally went to Kebbi State on Tuesday. He issued directions to the troops overseeing the rescue of the remaining 23 schoolgirls. Meanwhile, Nigeria's National Security Advisor has been on a diplomatic mission in the U.S. throughout this week. He reportedly met U.S. War Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane on Thursday. Now, the details of their meeting were not made public, but the U.S. State Department had made this announcement. Listen in.
The Trump administration is developing a plan to incentivize and compel the Nigerian government to better protect Christian communities and improve religious freedom. This plan will consider U.S. state and Treasury engagement on sanctions, as well as possible Department of War engagement on counterterrorism and other efforts to protect religious communities.
The U.S. says it's planning to use a carrot and stick approach with Nigeria. The stick will be sanctions, and Washington also hinted at possible joint counterterrorism operations. Nigeria has been ravaged by insurgencies for decades. Groups like Boko Haram and the Islamic State, West Africa province, have been behind a string of attacks, but this week's kidnappings have been attributed to armed raiders looking for a ransom. They're colloquially known as bandits. Now, will Trump's interest in Nigeria actually help resolve the country's insurgency problem? We'll have to wait and watch. Now, U.S. markets ended the week on a mixed note. Friday saw a rally with the Dow and S&P 500 up about 1% and the Nasdaq under 1%. But tech stocks led by NVIDIA dragged indexes lower over the week. Meanwhile, Eli Lilly hit a $1 trillion market value. Now, this next report tells you more. Take a look.
U.S. stocks ended sharply higher on Friday, with the Dow and S&P 500 each adding about 1% and the Nasdaq gaining just under 1%. But all three indexes posted losses for the week amid concerns over lofty tech valuations. That was exacerbated by shares of NVIDIA, which initially rose after the chipmaker's strong earnings report on Wednesday, but led a widespread sell-off a day later. Anna Rathbun, founder and CEO of Granadilla Advisory, explains.
I think the NVIDIA effect of the week was overdone. There was a lot of fear going into it, anticipation. If NVIDIA was to sell, it didn't mean that we needed to sell Gap, right? So there was sort of a dump everything effect. And I think today it's turning around. But we remember there's also weakness in the economy. There's a lot of things that the market has to digest going into the end of the year. So I would sort of look at today as dip buyers coming in temporarily. But next week, we'll see where the direction of the market is and whether or not that has staying power.
Shares of NVIDIA briefly jumped in afternoon trading after sources said the Trump administration is considering green-lighting sales of the company's H200 AI chips to China. But the stock still ended down 1%. Among other movers, shares of Eli Lilly gained 1.5% as the company became the first drug maker to touch a $1 trillion market capitalization. And shares of Gap rose more than 8% after beating Wall Street expectations for third-quarter sales and profit, helped by strong demand for its Old Navy and Banana Republic apparel.
All right, with that report, we call a wrap to World Day for today. Don't go anywhere. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION World this morning. Stay tuned.
Africa hosts the G20 for the first time, and Johannesburg becomes the world's power stage. 42 countries will gather and participate for G20 Leaders Summit. 20 G20 members, excluding the United States, 16 guest countries, and 6 countries representing regional economic communities in Africa, the Caribbean, and the East Asia. WION will bring you all the latest developments from G20 Leaders Summit from Johannesburg, South Africa.
This week on the West Asia Post, Israel's scale of strikes on Gaza have drained global TNT, leaving NATO short and Europe struggling to arm Ukraine. Iran's nuclear scientists and Russian officials have held 2 secret meetings. Is Moscow helping Tehran build nuclear weapons? Also on the show, Israel strikes are deepening in Lebanon. Refugee camps have been struck. Is the Israel-Lebanon front edging towards another war?
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call global emergency. Climate tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
This week on the West Asia Post, Israel's scale of strikes on Gaza have drained global TNT, leaving NATO short and Europe struggling to arm Ukraine. Iran's nuclear scientists and Russian officials have held 2 secret meetings. Is Moscow helping Tehran build nuclear weapons? Also on the show, Israel's strikes are deepening in Lebanon. Refugee camps have been struck. Is the Israel-Lebanon front edging towards another war?
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Africa hosts the G20 for the first time, and Johannesburg becomes the world's power stage. 42 countries will gather and participate for G20 Leaders Summit. 20 G20 members, excluding the United States, 16 guest countries, and 6 countries representing regional economic communities in Africa, the Caribbean, and the East Asia. WION will bring you all the latest developments from G20 Leaders Summit from Johannesburg, South Africa.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate tracker on WION World is One.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching WION World is One with me, Diksha Bislau. Let's start this bulletin by quickly taking a look at the headlines. Prime Minister Modi says he had a fruitful meeting with Indian origin tech entrepreneurs and community leaders in Johannesburg, urging them to deepen ties with India and strengthen people-to-people connections. Marjorie Taylor Greene, once a close ally of Donald Trump, announces that she is resigning from her seat in the House of Representatives after a fallout with US President over Jeffrey Epstein's scandal and other issues.
He'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, you know, they should just keep fighting, I guess.
Donald Trump sets 27th November deadline for Ukraine to accept his administration's plan, which is aimed at ending the war with Russia by ceding territory, saying Zelensky will have to like it.
We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. And congratulations, Mr.
After months of trading insults, Donald Trump and incoming New York City Mayor Mamdani meet at the White House, exchanging compliments and pledging to work together on crime and affordability. U.S. aviation regulator issues a warning to civilian aircraft in Venezuelan airspace, citing dangers of heightened military activity amid a buildup of American forces in the region. Palestinian Authority says Israeli forces fatally shot 2 Palestinian teenagers on the outskirts of Jerusalem, while Israeli police say that they opened fire on people who posed a threat. A Christian group says terrorists abducted 227 pupils and teachers in Nigeria, the country's second school kidnapping this week, after 25 schoolgirls were taken in a separate incident.